This is Leisha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruitment podcast. And this is a first for our podcast. We have been global since we launched in 2020, but we have officially never had anybody from Israel before. So I am delighted to welcome to our community today someone who I've known pretty much all her life, actually, because this is actually my sister, but she's also a really valid guest because we're going to talk today around a number of things relating to leadership, being a working parent, and holistic editing, which I think you as our audience will be really interested to know about. This is Abi Gantz, and she is a content team leader at Wix. Welcome to you today, Abi. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. So for those who are listening, you really should go and watch this on YouTube. We don't often get that, but this is my sister, and I don't know if we look alike, but I think we're kind of doing the same thing with our hair. We keep putting it over our shoulder. Welcome to you today. So obviously a lot of people won't necessarily be familiar with what your job is, but you're going to talk a little bit around what you do day to day. And I think a lot of people will know who Wix are. So just give us a bit of context as to what you do day to day.
Okay, well, Wix is a platform essentially for enabling users to create a website of their own. I manage a team of marketing writers. I currently have 8 people in my team. Across the globe, actually. I have in Tel Aviv in Israel, in Dublin in Ireland, and in New York. We basically are responsible for creating all the marketing assets for Wix.com. So anything that drives users through their Wix journey from acquisition to emails to landing pages. That's what we're responsible for.
Wow, very succinctly put. And what I really particularly liked there was that you actually mirrored the accents of the team that you have globally, particularly the Irish one. Fantastic. No, that's really succinctly put. And, you know, I think it's for our audience, although you're not within the recruitment sphere, I think there's going to be a lot we can learn from you because all of what you do is driven through content and marketing. And of course, in our world in recruitment, everything we do is driven through content and marketing now. You know, that is the new way that we business develop, and that's how we engage with our candidate and client communities as well. So, for those who obviously aren't yet familiar with you, they'll probably be clicking on your LinkedIn. Just talk a little bit about how you've landed in this leadership role. Was that something you always set out to do?
It's a great question, and in short, no. I started out generally in marketing, in content. I've had a few different roles throughout the years. And I started at Wix 3 years ago in the marketing writer position. And within 3 months, there were changes in the department, and my boss made me team lead and kind of threw me in the deep end. And it was very exciting for me and something that I wasn't really kind of planning for. And, you know, I was managing for 3 months and then lockdown hit and the team exploded and grew, and I had to hire a lot of people in lockdown life. And it was really kind of throwing me in the deep end. And it was a matter of sink or swim. And I think I swam pretty hard. Actually, you know, since then, Wix have really been a great support in providing the tools for me to become a successful leader. And that's really, you know, I owe a lot to the people around me. I have very strong mentors, my managers. It's really a community of growth. And this is really how I'm adapting this and reflecting this in my role with my team too now.
I just want to unpick that a little bit because from a personal perspective, sometimes you sort of share what your leaders have done, what your business has done. And I've often said to you, haven't I, over the last 2 years, you know, they are an exemplary company when it comes to true pastoral care. They really do invest in the people, them, you know, the journey and the experience that you have day to day. When, you know, I think you were one of the first countries to go into lockdown, actually. You know, they really understood what that would do in terms of transforming the sort of culture and that you were all going to work remotely. So just in terms of, you said there that, you know, that they have been exceptional in leadership and enabling you. So are there sort of things that we can take from that in terms of what you've experienced that maybe recruitment leaders listening could say, well, we could do that? There's no reason that a leader in the recruitment industry can't replicate what Wix do, for example. So like what have they done?
So first and foremost, for me personally, you know, they provide a lot of courses in leadership. So it's learning the psychology of leadership, the practicalities, how to give feedback, things like that. I think a lot of it comes down to the culture of the company as well. We even say, excuse my language, but this is like public for everyone to see, like we don't hire assholes. We really hire people who are passionate about what they do. And, it starts from that moment that we're hiring, really. We invest, I do apologize for the siren.
Feel like.
We invest a lot of time in the hiring process, ensuring that the candidates are really a right fit on both sides, that they really want the position, that we really want them. And then it starts from there, that people are in the position because they really want to be there. And then aside from that, we invest a lot in time in the onboarding, and from the company side, developing people, it's a natural growth, and there's no linear growth path for anybody. It's so dynamic for anyone, and for a writer, they can move to a team lead position, they can move to a different writing position at some point if that's what growth looks like for them. And so really they really promote a growth journey based on your personal preferences, and they support you with that.
Yeah, no, I think that there's certainly three key takeaways there for me as a recruitment leader. In the first and foremost, obviously what we do is we recruit, we hire, and you want people who want to work for you. So it's understanding what those persons' sort of goals are, their motivators, the reason for being in the job. I think that's sort of the paramount thing. The onboarding, that's so many people get it wrong, but you're absolutely right. How are we making this person feel part of our culture? How are we making sure they're integrated, they've got all the support? And then the one that's going to blow the minds of those leaders listening who have, the structure in place. This is the journey. This is where you start. This is where you go. Let's just blow it up out the water, and let's learn to just be a bit more innovative and a bit more creative, and listen to the examples of Wix, where you might have a recruiter sat there going, this is where my natural flow is, but you've only got this path for me. That's not going to work. Let's do this. Create that path. I love it, Abby. That's absolutely
100%. And actually, I think if anything, Corona life has taught us is that, we have the flexibility to do these things and make changes, and the time is now. What are we waiting for? We can see what can happen in life, and really, it's a reflection on also the team. I'm not looking at one person with a specific background. I have writers that used to be tour guides, writers that used to be in broadcasting, in journalism. They come from all over, and they all bring a perspective that, makes their writing stronger as well, which is really exciting. And I think, the same with any department. We have people in different departments, not necessarily coming from the linear path to come to that role specifically as well. And that really just shows that you can bring something unique to the role by not following a path.
Oh my God. And again, listening as a recruitment leader, we're all in talent short markets. There are no candidates in your usual pools, and they're not going to be created from nowhere. We're not going to be able to magic these people. So start to think, let's take somebody on a journey who can bring qualities, who can bring experience. The best recruiters might have all come from a sales background, but actually I've seen some amazing recruiters come from teaching backgrounds, from those that have been flight attendants. It doesn't actually matter, because what matters is what you've picked up on there. It's the mindset. It's how they use that experience to sort of magnify the opportunity that they're currently in. I love that. And I think that leads really nicely onto this notion of holistic editing. So, your job is obviously to edit the marketing content for Wix, and obviously create that engagement for your clients. But what exactly is holistic editing, first of all, and then how can we plagiarize that in recruitment?
So really, it's the concept, like I was mentioning before, the leadership is really very supportive. And the way that we edit is also in a way that we can grow our writers. So it's not editing in the sense of I'm in the doc and I'm, checking their grammar and correcting their spelling errors. It's really, taking a step back and asking the questions like, what are we trying to do with this? And what's the goal here? And really putting in questions that will bring out the best level of work. That was not very eloquently put, but the highest quality work, basically. And really what we're trying to do in like the big picture is, elevate the quality of work going out there. And that's not something you can do when you're micromanaging or when you're inside people's docs. What we want to do is grow our people, and so help them question things the way they should be questioning, and help them learn the way they should be learning, and research the way they need to be researching, and giving them the space to grow. You mentioned before, I'm a working mum, and I can relate it very closely to parenting. You don't want to be a helicopter parent because they don't have space to figure things out on their own and learn on their own. And it's exactly the same with managing, no matter which discipline you're in.
True. It's true. It's about empowering somebody to make those choices, and you might be surprised by what route they take. You can learn something from your people. This is the thing,
Exactly. Yes, you're hiring like my team, especially. That they're smart, educated people, and they come from these amazing backgrounds, and everyone has something valuable to bring. And just because I'm the manager, it doesn't mean I'm telling them what to do. You've nailed it. Like, you listen to them, and we can all learn from each other, not just in my team as well, in the bigger team when we're working with product marketing managers and business analysts and the creative team and the designers. Everyone has a perspective, and we all have something to learn from everyone. And that's another valuable point, in my team especially. We're working so collaboratively with,
just about to say that word.
Yeah, we really do. And we really, we have team meetings where we're all talking, and we all respect each other's point of view, because we're all researching it from different angles. And so we want to share that knowledge. It's important in order to grow.
Yeah, no, all of these things will really resonate with our audience, because I think that to get the best performance in terms of achieving the ultimate goal of your, or what the purpose of your business is ultimately, it's not down to one singular person. It's down to a community of people that you employ, whether that's 3 people or whether that's 300 people, it doesn't matter. But collaboration, I think, if I observe what experience you've had as an employee, but also as a leader of Wix, you absolutely epitomise collaboration. There's no question about that. And I think that we can learn an awful lot from that, from the creativity point of view, but in terms of day-to-day practicality. But that does lead me on to the next thing, which you've already kind of touched on, in that you do run a global team. How have you managed that? Because obviously that was thrown upon you, and I love that you did swim. You really swam. You swam an ocean whilst doing it, and your children were locked in with you. Can I just say, this woman is amazing. During a very long lockdown, I think you were locked down far longer than we were in that lockdown one. Horrific.
Yeah, I have no concept of time anymore. The 2 years merged. I don't know.
So how do you do it practically? So I guess there's a couple of elements to the question. How do you manage, or how do you lead your team virtually in a way that is meaningful to them, but also to you, so you as a leader get something out of it? And what have the downsides been in terms of, are there any lessons that you would maybe go back and do differently?
Oh, good questions. So on a practical level, I think my biggest learning curve was going into lockdown and managing and hiring a team from lockdown. And, we had 6 months of virtual meetings, and again, Wix really provided a lot of support and how to create the same vibe that we used to have in the office. And the office, when I started, it was, like we say, very collaborative. We would have coffees together. We would, it was a very social environment. They really promoted, don't send emails, just go to each other's desks and have a chat. And we get things done quicker that way. We build personal relationships that way, and it's really important. So how do we maintain that offline? Not offline, online, sorry. So really, we kind of gave ourselves at the beginning time online to have coffees together online. So we would put half an hour in the morning to just say, it's just for a coffee, just as though we're, just to chat. We would block out time to have lunch, because, Zoom life could get insane and you just have back-to-back meetings all day without any break. So maintaining that kind of normalcy in a way. And then when I started hiring, it was kind of a slow process. First, I hired in Dublin, and they're only a 2-hour time difference. And really, at the beginning, I was doing team meetings like twice a week, just checking in as a team and having one-on-one sessions whenever they wanted, really. And as the team expanded and grew, I had to limit that slightly. And now we obviously have a writer in New York too. We have a team meeting once a week where we try and balance between just kind of chit chat and just getting to know you, because it is difficult to break that barrier with a screen in front of you. So, I always like to joke, I make it like awkward hour. I'm always like coming with, tell me a fun story about your week, and, trying to make it as fun as possible and bring that balance, because I think, when you feel comfortable in a team, then you're more likely to reach out to each other and feel comfortable to use them as a support as well, which is what they do. So we have the weekly team meetings. I have set weekly one-on-one meetings with them, and they know that I'm available for them if they need, on Google Chat, on Slack, even on WhatsApp. They know I'm there for them if they need, like that time is for them. And occasionally I'll reach out to them if I need them. But really, we have a chat where we post inspiration for each other, and we have conversations, and I know that the team also, I really promote, they work collaboratively together as well. And so I think we're finding a nice balance at the moment.
So independently of you, they collaborate with us.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I love that. And actually, just picking up on a point there that you've just talked about, I think getting to know your people as opposed to employee employer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that starts with you showing, you said, because I know you're goofy, we're both goofy sisters, we just have this image that we're not, but we're very goofy.
I don't have an image that I'm not.
No, I know she is very good. Do you show that vulnerability? Do you let them see that you were struggling as a working mum? There's no question. You had 2 little kids whilst trying to run this team. So did you do that first, and was that done in a contrived way, or did you just have to do it? You just have to be like, look, I'm really struggling, guys.
The thing is, I am who I am, and I'm very open as a person. And my team know that. And, I always say, like, I'm an oversharer, and it is who I am. And I think that has partly helped me get to where I am now, because people see that, like, I'm not a superhero woman. I'm just a mum trying to figure it out. It's all about perspective, so, especially in lockdown life, everybody saw it was very difficult to separate the 2 lives, because I was on Zoom meetings with my kids jumping all over me and screaming at me, and people could see, them screaming at me and having a fit while I muted myself and then turned my camera off. And so, that boundary went in lockdown life. And I think once the boundary was down, it stayed down, really. And I think, ultimately, like, I think we're human, and why hide that or change that? Like, people have things going on in their life. And I think that's also creating a healthier environment for everybody. When I'm being open, they're also telling me, listen, like, I'm having a hard time, or I have to take my kids to the doctors today. And I'm like, okay, like, do what you've got to do. And really, that's how I'm not saying to them, be there at 9 and leave at 5, because you can't do that to people. We've hired adults who are responsible for their time, who want to do a great job, who are passionate about their job. And so really, we're focused on deadlines, and whatever that means for them, if they have an appointment in the morning, or if they, had a bad night's sleep for whatever reason and they need to sleep in a bit longer, that's okay. It's as long as they're getting quality work done and they're doing their job and they're responsible for their workload, that's what's important.
Accountability. I mean, everything you said, that again totally transcends every industry. But if I'm talking about my industry in recruitment, I think everything you've said there is what true holistic leadership actually is. because you ultimately are focusing on your outcomes. For us, obviously, it's revenue. Usually, that's what we're looking at, profit and revenue. For you, it's obviously achieving the client's websites, presumably. And I think, there's so much virtue signaling that goes on. I assume in your sector as much as in my sector and every industry that employs, adults, in that, we're going to do this to make, we're going to have this person's going to come in and we're going to have gym sessions and yoga. And it's actually, what the most important thing you can do is create a psychologically safe culture. And the way you do that is going back to what you just said there. It's like, we're all human beings, we're all adults. And let's assume that by trusting you, you're going to achieve it and you're not going to take the mickey. And I think actually that starts with the leadership team. So I think it's been so succinctly put. It really has. And, before we go, how do you manage it? Because obviously now we're in this new norm now where presumably, hopefully we won't go into a lockdown. But how do you achieve your goals as a leader? But how do you ensure that you're not compromising being a parent at the same time? Because lots of people listening will be in your position.
Yeah. So again, I have a lot of, to thank for like the culture of Wix where, they really, understand that we as parents have to like take our kids and stuff. So twice a week, I, leave early to pick my kids up from school and I spend time with them. And I make sure that when I'm with them, I'm with them. Yeah. Phone away, I'm giving them all my attention. And then the other days I do work late. And actually one of those late days, I make sure to have some me time after work. So I always meet a friend once a week. And we, just me, myself and I, no duties to anybody.
She goes to the beach and she sends me photos from the beach.
And yeah, and, so it's really about, just trying to make those choices and prioritize. And also, lower expectation, life is different. It's not how it used to be. I tried to hold on to the previous life for as long as I could, and that's when it became difficult. So yeah. But knowing that you can balance it somehow, just by prioritizing and focusing on the here and now. So when I'm in work, I focus on work. When I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids, and when I'm with no one, I switch off.
Good. And you know what a beautiful way to end this podcast. I think that is, everybody can do that, whether you are a parent or not. That is your self-care. Absolutely. When you're in the here and now, focus on what you're doing and everything else can just wait. Oh, you have been a wonderful guest, as I knew you would be, and really appreciate you giving us the time. And thanks to Wix as well for letting us have a little bit of insight into what is an incredible collaborative industry and sharing your experiences with us. Thank you for joining us on the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast.
Thank you for having me.